Hello, I'm Mr. Plumb. We are Plumb and Plumber, and it's another weekend. Get in. Roll titles. It's a cold one. I've got 2 hoodies on. And of course, I've got my Plumb hoodie underneath this one. I don't want to get dirty, do I? Well, yeah, change of tack, I think, this time. So I thought I'd give the Peugeot a little bit of TLC. Now, she needs a few things. Miracle is one of them. But, yeah, so I've got a problem, ABS light. So I thought I'd get up there, jack it up, get under there, and then have a look. Checked all the wiring, and you'll see on some of these pictures, I eventually managed to get the connectors out because they're tucked behind the old sway bar. Get the connectors out, and I'll start measuring the resistance. So I started on the passenger side, and I was struggling like anything. I couldn't get my probes in there because it's quite a deep socket, and I ended up making up leads and connecting them to my multimeter and sticking a rivet in the end just so I could get it down in there. And I thought, oh, this isn't working. I was getting open circuit, reading, open circuit, and it's flicking off, falling off, and I thought, oh, this isn't working. So I got my, where's my other one? I got my Q-Tech one. So that's the one I started off with. The probes are too shallow, and I ended up making up these little crocodile croc leads. No, they're crocs. Croc leads with a rivet in the end, so I could stick it in and get a good bit of continuity. But it just wasn't happening. So it kept on reading open circuit. And I thought, no, I'm going to double check with my Q-Tech. So I got that out, and then managed to get that on the connectors, and I got me a reading. I think it was 1.69 megohms, and that was steady. Now, 1.69 megohms, I think it's a lot for an ABS sensor, isn't it? They're normally in the kiloohm area. So I need to do a little bit of investigation on that, what it should be, but it was a steady reading. 1.691 megohms, I think it was. So I thought, well, that's a steady reading. It's not climbing, because if it climbs to open circuit, that means the resistance is knackered. That means the sensor's knackered. So steady reading, I think that might be okay. So then I flipped over to the driver's side. Same thing, connections, open circuit, or out of limits, OL, out of limits. So very, very high resistance. So, and that was consistent. I got no reading at all. So I know that the driver's side rear ABS sensor is duff. Now, as they are about 50 nicker each, I wasn't going to go around and say, oh, I'll just replace all 4 of them. Now, you'll find out which one's which. Do a bit of engineering. So yeah, I found out that the driver side rear ABS sensor is open circuit, so it's knackered. So I only think I need to buy 1 ABS sensor. So I thought, while I'm down here, governor, I'll give the underside a good wire wheel with the angle grinder with the knotted wheel attachment. I think it deserves a bit of a refresh. If you see this picture, what it was like before. So it deserves a bit of a refresh. So I got up as much as I can with the angle grinder, round, got the Dremel in there, and round, got as much loose rust off as I could. And there's a lot of loose rust, I can tell you. And so I thought, yeah, right, now I'll get the Hammerite Smooth. I didn't bother with the red oxide primer, so I thought, no, I'll get the Hammerite Smooth straight up there, round here, on the old drum, as you'll see in here, on the old drum, on the sway bar, up inside, and you don't realise how much more difficult it is to paint stuff when it's still on the car. It's far easier when you've got it all stripped down, like the good old Z3 stuff, but when it's on the car, you've got to get around all the nooks and crannies. You've got to lift cables up, you've got to move brake pipes without snapping them, and then brake hoses, and you've got to get in there. Anyway, gave it a little bit of a refresh, a little bit of TLC, and then I thought I'd knock out a little bit of Hammerite on the passenger sway bar. So I haven't done the passenger drum yet. That needs to come off and do that another day, and it's getting a bit cold out there now, so I knocked out another cup of tea, and I thought that'll do for today. So I put it all back together, put a little bit of copper grease around the drum where the wheel goes on, and we'll let that cure overnight. So yeah, bit of change in tack. Yeah, not so much on the Z3. Got to get those bushes back in, so I just thought I'd give the Peugeot a little bit of TLC. And that's it. I've had my cups of tea. I've been a good boy. Time for a gin.